Hello, welcome to the 100th extravaganza. If you're seeing this on the YouTube channel, you're seeing 10,000 faces before you, and we got a lot of traffic to direct on today's show, so we'll get into that. Don't forget that Cinema 9 Pod is your friend, and by having 100 episodes, we hope to have 100 more. Travis Roy, Eric Branstrom are my co-hosts. We are three united together in this show. Real quickly, Travis, 100th episode, how do you feel about it?
Oh, man, I feel great about it. It has been a real experience going through all this with you guys, and I cannot say how happy I am to have Zach the Snack and Sleazy C from the Podcasting After Dark here with us. You guys, I love your show. I feel like I know you guys. It's really awesome it's real special to have you guys on with us. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having us on the show, and congratulations on 100 episodes. That is amazing.
Thanks, man.
Yay! Yeah, so we have the Podcasting After Dark crew with us. We'll get to talk to them momentarily. Eric, this is the 100th episode. You've worked really hard. You've grown the YouTube channel. You've spent many years working on different microphones, different audio formats. How do you feel about the next 100 episodes going forward?
I just want to thank everyone that's ever listened to the show, maybe downloaded an episode, liked a post, or supported us in any way, because not only has this been an opportunity for me to reconnect with two of my dearest friends that I love very much, but it's also been an opportunity for me to kind of get back into movies. Something that when you get in your late 30s and you get super busy, it tends to fall by the wayside. And you gotta work that muscle, man, and you gotta get the pen to paper and get out there. So I just want to thank everybody for listening, you two for being my brothers in arms, and of course my co-host tonight, because I feel like I am just one step away from meeting my idol, Tom Noonan. How in the fuck did you guys do that?
Oh, Tom Noonan, the scariest interview we've ever done.
Oh my God, it's incredible.
Zach, how did we get Tom Noonan?
Well, first of all, thank you guys for having us on, and congrats. Every time you say my name, I want to hear bullets go off.
Zach Schaefer, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. It helps being someone in the business. Yeah, I'm in the business. I'm a voice actor. Have a lot of connections, and you reach out to different people and whatnot, and so. And also sincerity goes a long way. And so when you write an email, but you can't always, sense emotion, but you keep it short, keep it to the point, and you as I like to say, glaze their donut, and you make them feel good. And man, that was like the start of the pandemic, or right in the heat of it, when things were really, really bad. And he was, we couldn't see him. We weren't using Zoom at that point, so it's just all audio, and we're like staring into a void. And Corey and I are looking at each other, thinking like, "Oh my God, I hope this is going well." And we pulled it off.
Yeah, it was amazing.
I was sweating bullets the whole time.
So that is cool. There's so much to know, so much to learn by doing shows like this and connecting with people who love film. You guys love pop culture as well. It's obvious. We all, five of us, have that in common. It's very, very cool to have you guys here. The Podcasting After Dark crew of Corey and Zach today. I feel like I got to just keep hitting that button all night long. We're going to do, it's a lot of fun. It's fun to have sound effects and, add something to the show. But we're going to focus on the Annihilators for our main segment, which is our signature segment here, the Does It Hold Up, where we settle in on a movie for about 45 minutes. And we even take notes. Travis always has a piece of paper or two. Eric takes notes. Corey himself.
I got my
notes. I got my notes on my phone. Does that count?
It counts.
No,
absolutely.
It doesn't count. No.
How dare you? How dare you? How dare my? How dare you? That is not acceptable. There is going to be a lot of fun talking about this movie from 1985. So if you haven't seen the movie, shit, it might not even matter. I mean, you might just want to just come along for the ride. In this case, we don't always say this, but I'll leave it up to the viewer and the listener on this one. Don't forget Cinema 9 Pod, 5 stars on all your standard platforms, preferably Apple Podcast reviews, and the YouTube channel keeps growing thanks to Eric Branstrom. Continued growth on that. We're almost up to 200 subs, which is, by the way, people don't know, getting to 200 subs is not easy. I mean, unless you're in high school and like everyone's on YouTube and we're just all growing, as an adult male man who's 42 years old and doesn't know much about life anymore, it gets pretty tough to get those subs. So we want to thank Eric for his hard work on that. But let's turn the show over to the Podcasting After Dark crew for a minute here. Corey, what is it about movies that you love? Because I never get the chance to ask you a question like this. You love film and you love movies and you love pop culture, but what is it? More than nostalgia, or is there something more to it?
They've always been such a huge part of my life growing up. It was how I connected with my dad when I was younger. Growing up in the 80s, I'm 44. I just turned 44 a couple weeks ago. Growing up in the 80s, man, it's a whole different time. My dad took me to see RoboCop in the theater, took me to see Aliens in the theater when I was like 8 years old or something. It was an insane time. But like Eric mentioned, I love movies, and starting this podcast with Zach was a way to kind of, as I got older, I realized I just had less and less time to watch movies. So it was kind of a way to sort of force me to watch movies. And, I use force in a good way. But also, since I moved away from LA and Zach was still there, is a way for us to sort of stay in touch and keep in touch with everything. And I think we're closer now than we probably were when we were sort of living there together and everything. But I love movies. I love nostalgia. I love older stuff. I love newer stuff. I love world building, and Zach will tell you, that's my favorite thing. I love it when somebody can create a world that I can dive into. And for everyone out there, yes, very much like SimCity, yes. But for those of just to sort of sum me up in a little sentence, Star Wars is life, but Aliens is my favorite movie of all time, and that's where I stand.
All right.
Huh. Yeah. Wow. That says a lot.
Wow,
you really hit us hard there at the end there.
Yeah, it doesn't say a lot, or am I just like every other 44-year-old nerd out there,
Very popular movie, Mike.
I'm down. I actually think that says a lot, because there's all the Star Wars fans out there, first and foremost, but Alien and Aliens and the Alien, at least the first three, right? I mean, Travis and Eric, this is your bread and butter, so that's probably one of those movies is probably better than any of the Star Wars, possibly.
Oh,
I'm not going to make that argument.
Possibly. Oh, you wouldn't?
Eric just left. So.
Yeah, Eric just got up and left.
He's running over to punch you.
Well, I mean, Ridley Scott is bloated as hell now. I mean, we're talking Ridley Scott 40 years ago, not today. The bloated carcass that remains of, the Duel. And actually, the Duel wasn't terrible, but anyways, I digress.
He did that. Yeah.
Yeah, you look at the recent IMDb of Ridley Scott, it's not great.
It's paychecks. Paycheck after paycheck.
Well, I think he's trying to hang on to a legacy of what he had to, and it's not quite hitting the way it used to hit back in the heyday that you were referring to, Corey.
Yeah.
Back to Zach Shiver real quick. How would you answer the same question I just asked Corey? Because here at the Department of Redundancy Department, we ask the same things again and again. Zach Shiver, Corey, Travis Roy, Eric Branstrom, Michael Govier. We're all here. If you're not catching on, you haven't seen the Annihilators.
I don't ask for much. I just ask for bullets, lots of bullets.
You got it, brother.
No, somewhat similar to Corey. I'm a latchkey kid. Grew up in front of the TV, so movies were my babysitter. At times, they were my support parental figure, and so. The movies I wasn't supposed to watch. So when Corey pitched me the idea of doing a podcast and said, initially it was like movies we weren't allowed to watch as kids, I thought, well, this is right up my alley, because I've seen way too many, thanks to my brother Eric, my other brother Eric. And so, yeah, I mean, movies have always been a part of my life. I think my first real job was at a video store, and then I eventually moved on to Tower Records, and it was a dream come true. I got to watch movies all day, and it was just glorious. So, my love of film tends to be a little more obscure than mainstream. Like my favorite movie of all time is The Warriors, the 1979 Warriors. Oh, yeah. And, it runs the gamut from exploitation movies to romantic comedies. It's all over the place, and that's why Corey and I work so well together, because I'll bring in movies that he has never even heard of, like The Annihilators, or he'll bring in movies that are a little bit more mainstream that I might have skewed away from because it was mainstream. And then I end up watching and I'm like, this is really way better than I expected. So yeah, movies are life. I'm so grateful in my mid 40s that I can reappreciate that and reignite that love and that passion. And, nostalgia, as I've said before, nostalgia is a hell of a drug. So, our fondness of certain things doesn't necessarily hold up. Oh my God, I love that scene in that one movie. And then you watch the whole movie and you're like, well, that scene was good, but the rest of the movie wasn't that great. So, that's where my love goes. There's these compilation clips on YouTube that this guy took a bunch of clips from the 80s movies to a song by like the Midnight or something. It's really good. And you watch and you're like, oh my God, yeah, that movie's great. That movie's great. And then you watch it and you're like, it's not that great, but that scene is great.
Yeah. And then on Podcasting After Dark, like Zach said, it's a good cross section because I'm a bit more of like the mainstream cult movies like Life Force and like heavy metal and stuff like that. And that was sort of like the inception in my head. But then Zach, I always say, gives us the street cred with stuff like, Scanners and, Deadly Force and stuff like that. And his insane encyclopedic knowledge of people and actors and stuff. So I do, it's a nice little cross section. And yeah, most of the movies that Zach picks, I've usually never seen. I've probably heard of them, but I've never seen them. And it's a wild ride for me to watch these movies, especially like at this point, if I don't know anything about it, I'm not going to do any more research before my first viewing anyways. And then I always do 2 viewings. One is my funsies viewing where I'm just high and drunk. And I'm like, I need to know how this movie feels, and I'm just let it wash over me. And then I watch it stone cold sober when I want to break it down or, actually pay attention to it. But yeah, I very much appreciate these past 2.5 years of amazing movies that Zach specifically has introduced me to.
Oh, thanks. Like Tough Turf.
Like Tough Turf, yes.
Tough Turf.
Yeah, we almost did Tough Turf, but we appreciate you guys reversing course on that one.
Yeah, it's all good. I mean, Travis has got a sweet Fright Night shirt on, and you guys know we love the Fright Night. It holds a very special place in our heart.
Billy Cole.
Movies are life, man. Like I said, movies are life. Whatever gets you going. Doesn't matter whether it's mainstream or not. If Star Wars is your favorite movie, cool. If Leon the Professional is your favorite movie, sweet. Like whatever gets you going, it's all good, man.
Spoiler alert, that might be in your stack, my friend. Yeah, so one of the things that Zach and I do on the show is we flip-flop when we break down the movies. I'll do one movie and then the next movie Zach will do. So last night we just recorded our Deep Rising breakdown and review. Nice. It was about 3.5 hours long.
Trick or Treat Williams.
Yeah. So
or as I like to call it, Derp Rising.
Yes, it's a fun one. And then we announced it. We don't normally announce it, but we announced our next movie Zach's going to be breaking down, and it's Dead Heat. And the only reason we know that that's the next one coming is because we kind of planned it because we pre-ordered it and everything. But usually what happens is Zach has a stack of movies. I have a stack of movies from him. They're all wrapped individually. And then we just randomly choose what it is, and we don't know what it's going to be. So Zach randomly chose out of like 10 movies Deep Rising. So we're like, the gods basically gave us the treat of Treat Williams, for 2 weeks, or 2 weeks back to back. But yeah, so it's a fun thing, sort of not knowing what we're going to cover. It doesn't really give us an opportunity to sort of like plan too far in advance, although we do some stuff. But it's fun to watch, to watch the person's reaction, like, oh, we're going to watch this now, or oh, we're going to do that now, and it's fun. It's a fun little thing. And then we both have like a library of all the movies that we've reviewed and everything. So because physical media, it's streaming is not the future.
I was gonna say, like, that's one of the things I love about your guys' show is like it's so eclectic, and like just to be able to see some of these, like some of them are fucking hard to find, like Annihilators I fucking watched on YouTube, and like for us, like I wanted to bring To Live and Die in LA to the show, and it's just not available. It's like it's not streaming anywhere. It's just not out. So we couldn't do it, but it's it's just the kind of stuff you dig up is fucking awesome.
Yeah, thanks. I started listening to you guys' show like right when the pandemic hit. So it was really nice to periodically check in on these films, and I'm really looking forward to what you got coming. But yeah, it's truly a movie lovers kind of podcast, because if every now and then you guys will do a movie I've never seen or never heard of, and it's like, well, now I just have something to watch, and then I can listen to that later. Right. And also everyone should be aware these guys are like part of an entire podcasting empire. You can check out Blast from Our Past and $2 Late Fee and Cartwright, the Seinfeld podcast as well. Is there any I'm missing?
Action, talking back,
I'm
throwback
talking
trivia takedown, and people don't forget. Yeah,
just one or two.
just a couple. Yeah, but I do appreciate the plug. Thank you so much for that.
And all of these are active?
Yeah, everybody's producing content on a full-time basis, and some people have multiple shows. I envy the people that have one show to do, because Zach and I have multiple shows within our one show, and then we have two separate shows on top of it. So on Podcasting After Dark, we have our main shows, which are just, I guess you just call them the reviews, and they're the full breakdowns and everything. And guys and gals, we go scene by scene. So these episodes can be, well, Zach? What was our Deadly Force? Was probably about 3.5 hours long, and the movie's only an hour and 25 minutes.
Yeah. So Corey and
Wow.
I, when we break down these movies, we'll write like word for word dialogues in certain scenes and really get into it depending on how detailed it is. And yeah, Deadly Force, which people may or may not know, most people won't know, it's a movie that stars Wings Hauser. It was supposed to be his Dirty Harry, and if you don't know who Wings Hauser is, you don't know
Wings
cult
Hauser.
movies, I suppose. So look up Wings Hauser first of all, then
Wings.
look up Deadly Force. Wings, Wings, Wings. And
Plural.
for those mainstream people, his son is Cole Hauser, who's on Yellowstone, I think, right now.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
He was in Pitch Black.
Goodwill
too.
Hunting.
yeah, and Goodwill
Yeah.
Hunting, yeah. And so we get really deep, and we take extensive notes, and we really, obviously, like you guys, we take this very seriously, and want to make it a full-time career would be great ultimately. But I just want to say really quick, Eric, To Live and Die in LA will be coming out on Blu-ray sometime soon.
Hell yeah.
I know
Incredible.
Shout Factory released it, but then they do that whole deal where they pull everything and then they release the new version. So I'm sure there's a 4K.
I want
coming out.
like
and
5
there's
hours of features. I want Bill Friedkin talking for like 10 hours about how he had to murder people to get some shots.
Well, it's funny you say that because currently Corey and I on our Patreon are doing something called it's called the Carpenter Factor, and we're breaking down every single, not breaking down,
Oh
but
my God.
having a free-form discussion about every single John Carpenter movie from beginning to end. And we will be
There.
eventually hopefully getting to William Friedkin down the road, where we just our tour de force is like the umbrella.
Yeah.
And that's our kind of new signature show, and it's we do a deep dive on their filmography. So To Live and Die, if we get to, we will get to Friedkin at some point. But
Yeah, and I think I want to do To Live and Die in LA as well. That's been on my to-do list for the show as well. Eric, follow oh crap, Zach, help me. The Dawn of the Discs on Instagram. Dawn of the Discs, they pretty much will tell you every single Blu-ray that's coming out soon. So that's like my number one source. So shout out to Dawn of the Discs on Instagram. They are fantastic. And I do remember recently within the last few months seeing an announcement, I think, for To Live and Die in LA. And I think that's what put it on my radar. And I was like, okay. But so we have our main review show. And then on the free feeds, we also have our a spinoff show called TV Obscura, where Zach and I are joined by our friend Diallo, and we talk about obscure TV shows from our youth, and we each tackle one.
Cobra Law!
where's those gunshots? Where's those gunshots?
So there you go. G.I. Joe the movie's not quite obscure, but you know what? It's our show, and we wanted to talk about G.I. Joe because we're all 80 kids. So, we throw that out in there. Yeah, who gives a shit, But a lot of times we'll talk about really obscure stuff, and it'll always be about 3 shows per episode, each one of us discussing one. And then we have our interviews after dark on the free feed now. They used to be Patreon exclusive, and we weren't really getting good traction on Patreon with them, and we were really proud of those interviews, and we thought they were really well done, and we just weren't getting enough listens, and we're just like, what, let's put them out on the free feed. And what we did was we took the same tier and just renamed that tier on Patreon the Auteur de Force tier, and that's where we started doing the John Carpenter show. And the history behind that is Zach and I did a John Carpenter filmography walkthrough about 6 or 7 years ago when we lived both in Santa Monica, and I was near him. And it was one of my favorite movie things I've ever done in my life. And it was so influential on me. Zach is very influential on me. There's a lot of love here. And so we wanted to kind of take that and move forward with it, because we stopped we stopped at Prince of Darkness. But here for the Patreon one, we mapped it out. It's going to be 2 full years with a wrap-up show in December of 2023. It'll be 2 full years. And we started with Dark Star, and we're going to end with The Ward, and we're going to cover the 2 made-for-TV movies and Body Bags, which was made for Showtime. So
and Ghost of Mars.
And we're going to cover Ghost of Mars. And we're going to recover The Thing and Prince of Darkness, because we've actually done The Thing and Prince of Darkness as proper breakdown review episodes, but we're going to re-discuss them. And The Thing is our #1 most downloaded episode by far.
So on TV Obscura, can I look forward to an episode on Small Wonder? Because Vicky was my #1 crush, my first crush in 1986, I think.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, probably. And I have a weird story. So I also worked at a video store, and the guy who owned the video store was friends with Vicky.
No, that's not true.
He met her weirdly when he was in LA for one thing. Like he was a kid, and then they just became pen pals, and they wrote to each other until the 90s, essentially.
Wow.
Yeah,
insane.
Weird. Like, what are the chances of that?
Like virtually tap her head in real life. That'd be awesome.
Pretty much. Yeah.
That's incredible. Wow.
Yeah.
See, look, ask you shall receive, Eric. You basically had 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon with Small Wonder.
There you go.
6 degrees of Vicky.
We'll get her on the show.
Yeah.
By the way, so much information. This is fantastic. We're live with the Podcasting After Dark crew of at least Zach and Corey today. Eric Bransham, Travis Roy, Michael Govier, Cinema 9 Pod 100th anniversary show. Woohoo, yippee! More clapping, more cheering. Chaos! It's just pandemonium here. And then it ends. We do, as our listeners and viewers know, we pick a movie every week, and we get 6 days, basically, to watch it. So we never have much more time, kind of like you guys. And we do like that. And Travis, I actually never thought about how we don't really have a lot of prep time. You're right. It's always fresh to us every week. We do try to do 52 shows a year, which we almost did last year. So that's a lot of movies and not a lot of time.
It's a lot of content, and from 2 content producers to another, that's impressive. Very, very impressive.
Thank you. Yeah,
Most impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, this became mostly our social life in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So this is our check-in. Like, it's kind of like being around friends. So
And how we meet new
Basically
friends, too.
except there's no Mountain Dew. There's no Mountain Dew, and there's no farts. So
Very little prep
there
time.
is, but
In fact,
Oh, yeah.
I teach 3rd grade, and I had to watch the Annihilators for the past 3 days on my lunch break while like kids are popping in to say hi. I've got like die, motherfucker, and like bitches like getting torn up.
Die, mother.
It's insane.
Die, mother.
Yeah, die, mother. Like I'm like pausing it. Oh, peanut butter and jelly. Insane.
I'm sorry for those first like 15 minutes of the movie when that scene with the with the woman with the knife and
good God. All right, we'll save it. Hang on. All right.
I got a parent-teacher
I know
conference
everyone's
just
chomping.
from that scene coming up.
Trust me. I used to teach kindergarten, and I'm like, if my former students listen to some of the stuff I talk about, well, it's all good.
yeah, it's my biggest fear is my students listening to my podcast.
Are you guys all teachers? What's up?
Eric is, I am, and Mike was. Or
Okay,
Mike was.
right on.
Yeah, I taught high school for 5 years, and now I'm out. Fuck everybody. I can say what I want all the time, anytime. Feels
I can
good.
totally see that.
Freedom. Yeah, it was a good ride.
Right on.
All right, so holy shit, we got a lot of work to do. So let's lock in. Everyone focus in here. We got 5 people, 1 show, 5 men, 1 destiny, and it's time for us to do what we like to call taking it back to the beginning. Quarantine viewing picks. 100 episodes, 100 rounds of quarantine viewing picks. We're going to start like we always do with Travis. This is the segment where we offer movies that we've been watching recently or that we would like to recommend to you. And when we have guests on, when we get to Corey and Zach here, you guys could take it in any direction, whether it's stuff you've watched recently that you'd like to recommend or not. Or since it's your 1 appearance on the show, you can go all time. Like, hey, these are some movies I'd really like you guys to check out. Okay? Cool. So, Travis, take it away.
All right. Since I'd never seen The Annihilators, this is one of the rare weeks where I watched nothing but movies I'd never seen before. Starting with, I've said this on the show. Sometimes I just feel like watching a piece of shit, and I'm like, oh, what's a good piece of shit I could find? So the piece of shit I found this time was 2012's Battleship, which, obviously was a piece of shit, But somewhere in there, I swear, there's a good movie somewhere. The idea of like, most of the world is covered in water. To have like an alien invasion movie that takes place on the water is actually kind of cool. And some of the aliens look kind of cool. But then, like, they try and like work in the battleship shit, and you got like these giant pegs coming as bombs and stuff.
No way. Really?
Fucking hilarious. So I actually didn't mind it, but like, because I'm laughing at it and with it. So it was a good thing to kind of just have on without being emotionally invested in. So
I didn't know it was a Waterworld scenario in that movie. I mean, I didn't want to see it, but I weirdly want to see it a little bit more now.
I kind of want to see it now too.
Right?
It really wasn't terrible, you guys. It wasn't. Yeah. I mean, and I'm not going to sit here and call it good, but I mean, aliens on the water, it was kind of, had its moments.
Okay.
Okay. Sold.
Yeah. I was pushing off seeing the new West Side Story because I'd never seen the original. Then I was like, fuck it, I'll watch it. It's a 2.5 hour movie. I got just shy of 2 hours in and turned it off.
Oof.
No way.
Yeah, that's a hot take.
Wow.
People love this movie. People love this movie, and I'm just like, it was all the things about musicals that annoy me.
Yeah.
I was just like, I don't know. Have any of you guys seen it?
I watched it a few days ago, and I really appreciated it, but like, why? Bob Wise's original won all the Oscars, and there's no reason to remake it. It's completely irrelevant today.
I was thinking that too until I saw a tweet from Alex Winter where he addressed that and was like, it's based on a play. Yeah, they want to know. He said it's like it's based on a play, and it's it's been revived multiple times as a play, like as a musical. It's made to be revived. I'm like, well, that's a good point. So I gave it the shot, but man, I was just like cringing through the whole thing, and finally I'm just like, you know what? No one's got a gun to my head. And I turned it off.
I got another hot take for you. I haven't been a fan of Spielberg as a whole in a long time. I think he's overrated. Clap, 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 clap. I just think like his ship has sailed. We talked about Ridley Scott. I mean, it's just, time to move on and give like new guys an opportunity to make some shitty good movies.
Yeah, he may have kind of gone the way of Francis Ford Coppola. You only have so many in you.
Yeah. I mean, is that the destiny of all artists? Like bands, they change over time because they just you listen to an angsty band when they're younger, and at some point you're just not going to be angsty anymore. And it's just and Spielberg, obviously we all love his stuff back in the day, but man, I haven't been excited about anything that he's produced, and I can't even tell you when the last thing I liked. And I mean, Ready Player One was just bad,
Yeah, if you don't reinvent yourself, like speaking of music, like David Bowie stayed fresh because he would just reinvent himself.
Oh yeah,
and I don't think a lot of these people are doing that.
Yeah.
I did check in on another musical to kind of be like, hey, I do kind of like musicals, right? So I watched 1972's Cabaret, and I don't know why Joel Grey got an Oscar for that and not Remo Williams. Problematic depiction of a Korean man aside. Love me some Remo Williams. I gotta say,
that's a Zach movie right there.
Remo Williams is awesome.
It's great. But Cabaret, you know what? It was pretty good. I really liked Cabaret. I could see, I get the Liza Minnelli thing now, and it was interesting to watch a movie starring Liza Minnelli and Basil Exposition and Cheon. So that was fun. I also checked in, speaking of Ridley Scott, I checked out Tony Scott's Man on Fire, which I'd never seen before.
Love that movie.
Yeah.
Have you watched it recently?
Creasy Bear.
I was watching the movie and I'm like, man, I feel like I didn't notice how meth fueled Tony Scott's style kind of was. But you watch it now and like it's just like the editing is insane. I'm just like, everything is it's sped up, then it's slowed down, then it's frozen, and then just and then like the eye is constantly being taken off the aperture, so you're seeing like these flashes of light. I'm like, I'm gonna have a fucking seizure. I don't know, man.
You say with True Romance, man. True Romance is kind of edited that way too. You did have that vibe.
Once he did Enemy of the State, he's just like, oh, people like this. I'll just do that over and over again. So I did like the story and I like the acting, but man, I'm like, Tony.
Check out the remake, by the way, with Scott. The original with Scott Glenn. It's good.
I think I should. I think
Joe Pesci's in that too, I think.
Oh yeah, he is. I saw that on IMDb. I'll have to check that out.
And True Romance, my favorite Tarantino movie.
No doubt.
For good reason.
Rest in power, Tony Scott. Tony Scott, very talented. Rest in power, but I get your point, Travis.
Rest in power. Last but not least, I watched The Eyes of Tammy Faye. And I had said before on the show that I hope that Kristen Stewart gets the Oscar. I'm not going to be mad if Jessica Chastain gets it. She's really awesome. Yeah, she's awesome. This was one of the best performances I've seen her do. I really like Michael Showalter. You know, I've been a fan since The State and Stella and all the stuff that he's done. And then I hated Lovebirds, but now he's got something that's got like Academy Award attention. So I'm excited to see what's going on with him. And Andrew Garfield, another great performance from him from the year 2021, the busiest year of this man's life, I hope. But yeah, it's definitely worth checking out. The Eyes of Tammy Faye. I really, really liked it.
Nice. Yeah, that's a great movie.
And that's what I watched.
Wow.
And that's what he watched. There it is. See how easy it is? I didn't know that was a I kept seeing the icon on HBO Max, thought it was a documentary. I'm like, I don't need a
So there is a documentary from 2002. And this is the fictionalized version of that documentary. And I gotta tell you, man, like I really like that we're kind of coming back around and looking at people like her and like Richard Simmons and being like, man, we were shitty to these people in the 80s. These are actually some really genuine, kind, good-hearted people. And I like seeing like a reevaluation of them.
That's a great point.
Ditto.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very respectable.
Well, yeah.
Here.
Fun fact, I was Richard Simmons for
sir.
Halloween one year, so I'm a big Richard Simmons fan. I'll punch someone in the face if they shit on Richard Simmons.
Did you have the perm there? You have the
No,
the
I wore a
thing
big
going
wig, and then my son, who at the time
okay.
was like 18 months, I put him in a Richard Simmons wig. He was Little Richard, and I was Big Richard. I guess it's Little Dick and Big Dick. I don't know.
Clever.
It's Dick. All right, Eric Branshaw, let's send it over to you. What have you been watching recently?
So, okay, let's get this out of the way. I checked in with Scream 2021, and I was kind of excited because I like Ready or Not, so I like these filmmakers. So I was like, you know, Wes Craven, rest in peace. Let's see what these guys have to offer to this franchise because I love Scream 4. I hated it, man. I hated it. Did you guys see it? Like, I'm sitting there the whole time. I'm like, this is a cash cow, money grab. This is completely pointless. It literally felt like a remake of Scream 4, which I thought was an underrated sequel.
Were there decent
really
kills in it?
Man.
Decent kills, maybe?
There was good kills, but like there was the purpose of the film and like the narrative drive was just, it was so redundant. Like if you're gonna like try to do like the requel every 10 years, say something other than, hey, now we have iPhones, or hey, now I can lock the doors with my phone. Like that's all they had. And then they just brought you could tell they just dragged the old cast back by dangling paychecks under the noses with nothing to offer them characteristically. I'm sorry, man. I'm excited to hear what you think, but I was let down, and I had high hopes because I like this filmmaking team.
I mean, I like that we live in this day and age too, where, you know, like with Ghostbusters Afterlife, where there's like a real-time difference between the other movies and in real life. So I like how, you know, these actors will come back and it will sort of be like a sequel / a reboot / a whatever. But I like that better than just doing a flat-out reboot with other people. But obviously, it's like Scream, it's hit or miss whether it's going to work or not.
Right, and it's there's just so many member berries to eat out of a bowl, and bringing these legacy characters back, it's like, come on, we all know what's going to happen when you bring a legacy character back. There's no surprise. So yeah, it just left a lot to be desired, man. So Lucy and Desi, man, it's the same thing with Jim Baker and Tammy Faye. Like you got a documentary and then the movie. And they're doing it with Lucy, and I watched the entire I Love Lucy series after watching Being the Ricardos, and I was all about it. So I checked out Amy Poehler's documentary, Lucy and Desi, and it was fucking fantastic. Just when I was like, I'm kind of over it, let's move on. Like I get it. It's beautiful. It's really well done, man. Awesome. It's really lovely, and it touches on the hard edges of the two, but it does so really delicately and respectfully. And it's just a really smooth that I enjoyed. Yeah, it's it's not just a bunch of talking heads. It's just incredible footage, insight I had never heard. Yeah, like us. Okay, so just a couple more real quick. Thank you. No Chinese star drop.
No, sorry.
Yeah, there you go.
Right in the
Never
back
good
of the
enough.
head.
Any Day Now. This is a movie from 2012 starring Alan Cumming and Garrett Dillahunt. I never heard of. It pops up on Amazon Prime, and I hit play
Love
immediately because of this cast. It was fucking fantastic. A tough watch, a really tough watch, because we got a drag queen and a lawyer couple, and they take in a young man with Down syndrome as their ward because his mother is abusing drugs and cannot take care of himself. And it's just such a beautifully told character story about just helping people and seeing the needs in others that you may have in yourself. It was fucking sublime, man. It's a tough watch. It was a tough watch, so strap in. But it was just so gorgeously acted by the great Alan Cumming. Really highly recommend Any Day Now from 2012.
I'll watch anything with Dillahunt, man. I think that's one of the most underrated actors I can think of.
And he was fucking fantastic. Now, this one's for you two down there. Scrolling through your library, I'm like, Life Force? Toby Hooper?
Yeah.
Fucking Henry Mancini? What the fuck is this? I had never even heard of this movie.
Oh.
Don't watch it at school.
No, I did not watch it at school.
If you don't know who Matilda May is,
oh my God.
just
You
Google
now.
Matilda May Life Force, and that's kind of
Trust me, I have. And I needed to delete my search history immediately
Yep.
after Googling her.
Yep. Yeah, that was one of the movies that I
Wow.
actually had in my head that we were going to tackle on the show. Like when I came up with Podcast After Dark, I was like, we got to do Life Force, because as a kid, that movie blew my mind.
Dude, I fucking loved it, man. The practical effects were off the charts. Dan O'Bannon screenplay?
Yeah.
Who would have thought?
Yeah.
It's it totally is solid, man. From the Space Vampires novel, really fun 80s movie with great effects, and it's just fun and interesting. Really
and
highly
Matilda
recommend
May.
it. Oh my God, yeah.
She's a national treasure.
A lot of sleepless nights these past few days.
She's French, a French actress.
She's
Okay, cool.
a French national treasure, I should say.
Francis Treasure.
Wow. So, Mike,
Good for you, France.
this might bleed into your segment, but Licorice Pizza, it happened.
Here we go.
I loved it, man. I fucking loved it. It's so bizarre. I'm not going to give anything away, but it's so hard to pin down. Like, what is this? Like, it's a hangout movie. It's a coming of age story. It's a comedy. It's dramatic, but most of all, it's just a beautiful movie about vitality, I think. It's incredible, man. P.T. Anderson, I love Phantom Thread, but he remains the master. No pun intended. I fucking love the film.
Boogie Nights is his tour de force, so I'm looking forward to watching this one.
Zach, is Boogie Nights
you
your
kidding?
second favorite movie officially?
Yeah,
Or-
Boogie Nights is my official second favorite movie of all
Of
time.
all time?
Yeah.
Holy
Great
shit,
movie.
Zach.
It was the
Wait,
only
Zach,
movie.
Zach, we are kindred spirits here immediately. I just did my face, and I do another podcast. I do a lot of podcasts too. I just did my Colonel face when Eddie shows him his dick about an hour ago. I'm not even kidding, on my other podcast, because I was like so confused by something, but fascinated, and I was doing something like that. May I see it, Eddie? Thanks, Eddie.
Well, my mind was blown
you,
when we
Eddie.
did when we covered Thundar the Barbarian on TV Obscura. The Colonel is the voice of Thundar.
Oh.
He's in a ton of cartoons.
Yeah,
He's the voice of a
Oh,
bunch of
shit.
stuff.
I had no idea he was a cartoon guy back in the day. So yeah.
I had
didn't know
my
that
son was
either.
saying freaky deaky when he was like 3 years old. Makes me want a freaky deaky,
Oh
don't
my
it?
god! So that kind of leads into this point, Zach. That yes, Licorice Pizza's been a running gag here for about 3 months now, 2 months at least,
Okay.
since it came out. I really wanted to go see it in the theater, and I never made my fat ass get over there, and I wanted to because I love PTA, just like Eric said. I don't love some of the recent efforts here. He finally threw me off the scent with Inherent Vice
Ugh.
and even Phantom Thread a little
Love
bit. But
Phantom
I was
Thread.
born
Love it.
and raised. Boogie Nights is like my all-time favorite film. It
Yeah.
always will be. It's so quotable and it's so interesting and it makes you cry and it makes you laugh and
Everything.
it's got everything. Yeah, I
Everything.
mean, and to think that's like his first major movie, and
Yeah,
now
after Hard 8, yeah.
after Hard 8 was. I love Hard 8
I
too.
love Hard-
But then
yeah,
Magnolia
ditto.
was incredible. All this stuff,
Yep.
and now here we are. And maybe it's like, how do you top that? How do you
Yeah.
get past? It's not about topping either. And I know comparison. I mean, we're all about comparing shit. That's what we do on these shows too. We are comparing stuff. We're not going to lie about it. We don't want to take away the joy that comparison can sometimes sap out of things. But let's be frank. When you look at something like Boogie Nights and then you see Licorice Pizza, I just think Boogie Nights is a vastly superior film to Licorice Pizza. And I know he's going in different directions. Licorice Pizza has moments, but there are times, Eric, where I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And he's like trying to fuck with me intentionally while I'm watching a scene. Like he's triple winking at you in a way while something's going down. Or it's a fascinating discussion here. Like we could have a whole show easily breaking down what's going on with Licorice Pizza here, and Sean Penn shows up in a cameo, and is that I thought first, there's all these things that he's almost. I see a lot of parallels with what Tarantino did with his movie a couple years ago, in the love letter to the late '60s. With
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Yeah.
Thank you. And this movie is certainly like a sibling of that film. It's early 70s and PTA's. And that's what Boogie Nights was too, because PTA ran around the Valley back in the day and he was connected in some ways to the porn world. So it wasn't just, I'm sure you know a lot about that too, Zach. So is Licorice Pizza a good movie? Yeah. Zach, you clearly know a lot about the porn world.
Yeah. That's how Corey and I met.
Yeah. You talked about Dawn. Yeah. You talked about Dawn of the Disc, but really I thought you talked about Dawn of the Dick, the porno earlier when you brought that up. But what I'm thinking of, I knew it. I fucking knew I haven't seen your face so much as your dick, but that's weird too. Anyways,
all I need to see.
So, good movie, bad movie, I don't know. I'll leave you guys to figure that out in your own time. It's just fascinating, curious.
It's on my to-do list. I have the screener, and I'm looking forward to watching it.
Philip Seymour Hoffman's kid I didn't know that was him originally either. That was news to me recently.
And then the lady from Haim, the band Haim, which I love. I love that band.
Yeah, that's a good band.
That's who she is?
Yep.
Yeah, that's her.
I didn't. Okay. Whatever. Wow. Okay, I didn't know that was. I've listened to the music. I didn't really know what they look like.
And then the drummer for Haim is the daughter of one of the main dudes from Three Dog Night. So, fun fact. Yeah.
Man, this is some good information you got there.
Fun fact: I thought they were called Haim.
So did I, but it's pronounced Haim.
Oh, okay.
Not Chaim. Not Chaim.
Yeah, trust me, I was calling him Haim for the longest because I'm like Corey Haim, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But Haim.
I'm Jewish. I'm getting hungry for some challah. I got to tell you, a movie that surprised me beyond that, I caught up on some other films. I'll just leave it on this one. I didn't think it would be good, but I do love football. I'm not going to lie. I'm a sports guy too. I'm definitely a sports dude. And I watched American Underdog, which is the Kurt Warner story starring Zachary Levi plays Kurt Warner. And you think you know the story, which we do. Kurt Warner was a guy who came from nothing and became a Super Bowl MVP. It is truly, you don't need a movie because the story itself is a guy who comes from nowhere, wins a Super Bowl right out of the gate in 99 and is the MVP of the league when he truly was working at a grocery store a few years ago. It speaks for itself, but the details and the personal challenges that they were going through and some of the assumptions I made about them. Now, of course, it's their story. They're going to tell it how they want. But I thought they did a really, really good job of trying to be not egotistical about their own experience and trying to be, hey, we fucked up. We made a lot of mistakes and we had these challenges. And it actually moved me. I couldn't believe it. Not football related. All the stuff outside of football is what made this movie good.
Yeah,
that's usually what you fast forward through, Mike. All the family shit.
No.
Come on. I love Silver Linings Playbook because of all the shit they go through in that movie too. That's like it's a powerful breakdown of mental health and the challenges and things we don't see before. So, anyways, I was surprised by American Underdog, and I guess I'd say give it a shot. If you don't like football, it's not about football. So, okay, who wants to go first? Now we're gonna move over to Zach or Corey. Who wants to go first?
Let's do it, Zach. Do it.
Okay. I'll make mine short and sweet. So like I said earlier in the podcast, I run another podcast called $2 Late Fee, which is 80s nostalgia, early 90s. And we cover a movie, a song from the movie, and then we interview someone related to it or connected to it. So I just it's March right? And we're doing a whole theme of martial arts madness. So we're interviewing martial art actors like performers like Don the Dragon Wilson, Jeff Speakman. And then we just had a guy on the show named Derek Wayne Johnson who directed a documentary called The King of the Underdogs. It's the John G. Avildsen story. If you don't know who John G. Avildsen is, he directed all the Karate Kid movies and the first Rocky movie, just to name those two off the top. And we broke down our top 5 favorite moments from all the Karate Kid movies, the trilogy. So I watched all 3 Karate Kid movies in the past week.
Zach, you found 5 good moments in part 3?
Well, so it's 5 moments from all total.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So believe it or not, I actually did find 1 moment from part 3.
Wow.
And in fact, you'll just have to listen to the rest of the episode to find out if there's any other nuggets.
Teaser.
Spoiler, it is not the dance scene in the club scene in Karate Kid 3, but that is a pretty sweet scene. Yeah, I watched all of those, the documentary as well, which is really good. Watched a bunch of Don the Dragon Wilson movies this week. So for example, Quentin Tarantino considers Blood Fist 1 and 2 works of art. I wouldn't go that far, but they're entertaining. And Don the Dragon Wilson's story is entertaining, like who he is and how he got his start and why he never really, it got to that echelon of like Stallone and Schwarzenegger and Norris and Seagal and JCVD. So watched Blood Fist is fun to watch. Ring of Fire is fun to watch. They're cheesy. And then because I have a son, I obviously can't, I can watch the Karate Kid movies with him, but I couldn't watch the Blood Fist movie with him. We watched a movie from, I think it's 2014 called Earth to Echo. If you guys haven't seen that, it's a fun kids movie. It's basically like an ET type film. 3 kids get a signal on their phones. They follow it out in the middle of nowhere and find this weird alien robot in the middle of the desert. And from that point on, they help this alien basically find pieces to something. They don't know what it is till the very end. And it's all found footage. A lot of it's improvised. And these kids are really, really good actors for being their first time. I think it's really underrated, in my opinion. I think it's a great, fun family movie. And that's pretty much it. A shit ton of TV, like watching... talking about Ridley Scott, talking about, we were watching the Wolves Raised by Wolves right now, which if you've never seen it, it's a trip. It's fun. There's moments that you laugh out loud that I don't think you intend to laugh out loud, but you do anyways, because it's so bizarre. And then finished Peacemaker, thanks to Corey. He's like, you got to watch Peacemaker. And we watched Peacemaker and I loved it.
One of the best shows I've ever seen.
Hands
John
down.
Cena,
I'm with you.
Jim Varney on steroids is phenomenal. I love Jim Varney on steroids. And
I mean, he was so good.
Love it.
He's, I mean, and I don't dislike The Rock, but man, Peacemaker he brought a whole level of humanity to that show. I think John Cena has a fantastic career ahead of him. I like Suicide Squad and everything, and I know you guys are Cena fans too. But Peacemaker did it for me.
He's a Cena. Travis loves Cena here. Let's make that clear.
I'm a Cinephile.
One
Cinephile, I know.
Mike, are you a Jim Varney fan?
Oh, are you kidding me, man? Ernest Goes to Camp?
So,
Eggs Erroneous? Legendary.
Jim Varney on steroids. There you go.
Okay, that's it. You putting it that way is just another reason for me to see it, because Travis has already been saying how incredible it is, and I'm not against seeing it at all. I just hadn't gotten around to it, so I'll put it on the list for sure.
You got to see it for the best intro ever. It's got the best opening theme that's ever been made, and I never skip it ever.
Same.
These are fucking massive bullets you're throwing out here. You can't just, I mean, you guys know pop culture and you know film and TV, and that's a huge thing to say. I mean, I've been watching a shitload of Curb Your Enthusiasm recently. That's that's classic. That's a classic legendary opening theme. So that's pretty hardcore, Corey. Okay. All right.
It is something else, dude. He's not lying.
It is.
The choreography is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And in the fact that John Cena can play, I think that's him playing Home Sweet Home on the piano by Motley Crue.
It was.
If
Yeah.
that's him, like that
was my
already
plan.
gives
What?
bonus points.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
And-
Okay.
and-
All right. I'm in. I'm in.
And
man
honestly,
can
I'll just throw out one more thing. The scene, the best use of House of Pain, the song by Faster Pussycat. That scene, one of the best like scenes of TV I've ever seen in my entire life. So much emotion.
Shit.
Yeah.
You are.
That show is as fun as it is, and as over the top as it is. It's also one of the most human portrayals that I've of any superhero I've ever seen in my entire life.
Agreed. I do think you need to watch Suicide Squad first to fully appreciate it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Well, I've seen. Yeah. All right. There it is. Wow. Okay. Then finally, Corey, give it to us.
Yeah. So I don't watch as many movies usually in my off time. So I play a lot of games. I'll smoke and just zone out. And I've been playing a lot of Aliens Fireteam Elite, which is you're just like a colonial marine, doing killing xenomorphs, stuff like that. But two
Stuff like that,
things, the usual
Typical
thing.
day.
Yeah. I'll do some rapid fire things that I recommend. My wife and I are watching The Silent Sea right now. It's got the some people from Train to Busan in it. It's a Korean production, and it's fantastic. We also watched We Are All Dead, which is another Korean zombie show on Netflix. Was really good. So we go through those. We did, the Boba Fett show, all that kind of stuff. We do all the Disney Plus shows. But right now, my favorite two things that we're doing. My favorite is my wife and I are just, whenever we watch a movie, we're just watching 80s stuff that neither of us have ever seen. And we're just, and I'll put an asterisk to that and say I will introduce her to stuff that I have seen. So I showed her Romancing the Stone. She'd never seen that and she loved it. But then there was stuff that like neither of us. Hey, car race sounds. Hey, thank you, Josh. Appreciate that. It distracted me, of course. Clearly, now I've lost.
Oh,
my
I
train
do
of
that to
thought.
them. Yeah, they hate it when I do this. They hate this. Yes, this is their number one pet peeve. Sorry.
That's nice of
Sorry.
Josh.
This is all new to me. We're fully audio on our
This is
shows.
cool. Yeah, I like it.
But so my wife and I are going and diving into a bunch of 80s stuff we've never seen before. I never saw Some Kind of Wonderful. I'd never seen All the Right Moves, stuff like that. But my favorite was Skin Deep with John Ritter, 1988. That movie. I grew up. I was a Three's Company's fan growing up. I love Three's Company, but I never got into John Ritter movies. And Skin Deep was absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Pretty kind of misogynistic. It's kind of a guy's movie from the 80s, but it's so
That
good.
Blake Edwards?
Yes, it is.
Really? No,
Dang,
10?
yeah.
No.
So yeah, that was fun. And then our 6.5-year-old nephew, he's almost 7. We watch him once a month and we introduce him to stuff. We showed him the OG Star Wars trilogy. He watched all 3 of those. So we did one a month essentially. And we took a break from that and I introduced him to the original 1982 Tron. And he hadn't seen that. So we popped that in. And let me tell you, like for a movie that's literally 40 years old and with 40-year-old CGI, that very first time you see the light cycles, it's not when Finn and all them are doing it, but it's at the beginning when Sark is fighting somebody in the light cycle. But the second you see the light cycle, my 6-year-old nephew goes, "Oh," and I was like, and I looked at my wife, I was like, we got him. And his eyes were glued to that the entire time. And then I found out my sister-in-law texted me a video like 4 days later, and he's watching it at their house on Disney Plus. And she's like, he's been watching it every single day. And I'm like, yes,
That's awesome.
So we're going to show him Tron Legacy next. And then we're going to go back to Star Wars and do probably the prequels and see how he digs on those. So I don't have a kid, so it's really fun to sort of introduce my nephew to all these movies.
Yeah, well, as long as he learns the tale of Darth Plagueis, the why.
The why, exactly. And I get to look at him, like.
Yeah, right.
Very, very slow. Well done. That's a great McDarmid effort there. Oh, congratulations to us on 100 episodes from our dear friend Stephen Floyd Laskowski. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
At least somebody cares out there. We know you do. You're a sweet man. All right, we did it. We made it through that segment. We're on our way here. That means we can finally get our asses on over to talking about the main event, the
Now,
signature segment. Oh, okay.
I was just going to throw out before we jump into Annihilators. I wanted to say, give a shout out. You guys have a Luke, and we have a Luke friend from the group. So I wanted to give a shout out to your Luke, and then give a shout out to my Luke. So every podcast should have a Luke.
Every podcast should have a Luke. What a great point. I don't think we'll always bond over that. Not every podcast can say that.
Exactly.
Our Luke loves to rant, and he loves talking about social class and politics.
But he's not a class essentialist.
No, definitely not one of those. So, yeah, he's unique for sure. We love you, Luke. All right, so thank you to Corey and Zach for giving us their quarantine viewing recommendations. It's time for our main event. Does it hold up? Our signature segment. Does it hold up? Now, this is a unique version of this film. Or this segment, I guess. This film is unique in its own right, of course.
Yeah.
Blu-ray.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, look at that. Corey's holding up the Blu-ray right now. You're missing out. If you're not on the YouTube version, you're missing on this gorgeous cover, which is badass, by the way. I love the artwork on this cover. It's right behind me as well. So.
Zach and I had a discussion on one of our episodes about, I'm going to lump this in. I know it's not post-apocalyptic, but we loved all those old posters back in the 80s, and especially all the post-apocalyptic ones like the Eliminators and the one with the person on the motorcycle that's in the Rotor and all of those. They had such great posters. This one, again, is not post-apocalyptic, although the cover kind of sort of makes it look like it sort of is. But this poster, ever since I was a kid, I loved this one, and I loved the Eliminators both.
I have to give a shout out to Sam P. on Rotten Tomatoes, who says, I wanted to watch this movie because the dude on the cover has a face mask on and is carrying a crossbow. This doesn't happen in the movie, but at least it's entertaining.
Yeah, probably my only beef with the film is that I was waiting the entire time for that sweet mask to show up. And even when Woody had like a bag, I was like, it's in the bag. The mask is in the bag.
No, it's not.
No, just gone. It was alcohol. It was just booze. It was just booze.
Yeah, what a bunch of bullshit. That's not cool. But anyways, hey, it's time to do The Annihilators, a 1985 film, which was directed by the legend himself, Charles E. Sellier Jr. I'm going to call him Sellier. I don't never heard it pronounced that way, but I'm giving him the credit on that.
If you're Govier, he must be Sellier.
Yeah, why not, right? Charles E. Sellier Jr. And, okay, there's one person at least, I would assume, Zach, you saw this movie when you were a kid, true or false?
I did. Yeah, I did.
Tell us a story. Take us back in time.
So, growing up, I was born in Michigan outside of Detroit, and there was a channel on there. Oh,
we're all from Michigan.
Royal
Yeah.
Oak.
I'm in Hazel Park right now.
Oh, okay. Right on.
Did you know we're Michiganders? Oh, yeah. I live in Livonia. Eric is from here. He lives in Indiana now. And then Travis is right next to where you used to be.
We're from right about there.
That is awesome. Hell yeah. Love it. Yeah, I grew. Then you guys may know that there was like Creature Feature Saturday. I think it was called Thriller TV. On
TV20,
WXON TV20, the double chiller thriller.
Yes! It had the Led Zeppelin.
You know, hold on up. Whoa.
So
we know it, man.
The whole point of our show, the intro to our show, was inspired by that intro. I wanted to do that.
Yeah, that's it. WXON TV20 Detroit.
Yeah, so the Annihilators was on there one day.
I'm sure.
I remember watching it then when I was like 6 or 7 years old during the day, and didn't remember a whole lot. Remembered certain actors from it, and then watching it again, I'm like, oh yeah, I know him. Just going down the list, the laundry list. But that's where I was introduced. Man, we are all separated. Maybe we were all related in some way.
Yeah.
So you saw it when you were a kid and didn't watch it again until the other day or recently?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh man, I can only imagine how fucking awesome this would be to a 6-year-old.
Oh, hell yeah.
Would have been blown in 1985.
So I think there was only one scene that was cut or edited, and it was that nude scene, but outside of that, everything was pretty much by the numbers.
I would assume it would be, yeah. A few F-bombs here and
terrible
there.
synth score, so.
Oh, wow, that's harsh. Corey, I assume you never saw this movie prior, Corey. This is a new experience for you.
Yes, this is a new experience. I always saw the poster back in the day, and I remember I would look at him like, this looks awesome. And I turn it over, and I'm like, No, I know it's not going to be anything like the poster. And I just put it, even like at 8 years old, I was like, nah, it's not going to work for me. And I'm glad that I watched it now, because I don't think I would have appreciated it when I was younger. But I've had an absolute blast watching it pretty much just 2 hours ago.
An absolute blast. Okay.
It's a fun movie.
Well, I mean, that's your opinion. There's certainly. So what we usually do here is we try to guess the IMDb score. So if you didn't look, we try not to spoil our. You saw? Okay.
Yeah.
I did not look.
I did not look.
Let's go ahead. Get them out, guys. Get your opinions out. I'm going to say this is a 4.2. I'm going to give it that credit. Yeah.
I was going to throw out 5.1.
Okay.
Wow.
I'll say 3.7.
I'll say 4.7.
It is exactly 5.0.
Wow.
Oh shit! Makes the fives.
We're good.
Okay.
Makes it to the fives. All right.
Oh, shit. That's
Hey,
surprising.
in our book, on Pat's book, that's a 10.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Wow, that is exciting. Okay, so you guys are our guests. Yes, it's our 100th episode, but you guys are our guests. So, Zach, where do you want to go with this? Where do you want to start? Where do you want to take us off into this film here? What is it that you want to dive into first? Is it the music? Is it the settings? That is clearly not Vietnam at all, except it's someone's woods in their backyard. Yes, Georgia. Yeah,
Backyard.
I think I want to go with the cast. Not according to what IMDb lists, but according to kind of like the main guys in the background of some of these dudes. Because for today's audience, they may not even know anything about some of them, but for people who grew up in the 80s or the late 70s, some of these guys are a big deal. First and foremost, the lead actor, Bill, played by Christopher Stone, he was in Cujo. And I know Corey knows him as being married to
Dee Wallace.
Dee Wallace.
Yeah.
Wallace.
And I know him from The Howling, which is my
Yes.
favorite werewolf movie. Yeah.
He's in The
Okay, I
Howling,
know
but he's
him.
also in Cujo as well.
Yeah. Mhm.
And great kind of like, I call him a poor man's, oh gosh, what do I say? I
Chuck
wrote it down.
Boris. Cluck Boris is what I
Well,
put in my notes. Cluck Boris.
I said if Robert Ginty and Tom Atkins had a baby,
Tom
it would be
Atkins.
this-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tom Atkins.
Yeah, and then Garrett Graham plays
Yes.
Ray Track.
Beef.
Garrett Graham, if you don't know who Garrett Graham is, obviously we know him on Podcasting After Dark from Terror Vision. The Coos. But he was in a great movie called The Phantom of the Paradise, which is directed by Brian De Palma. Maybe one of the best musicals of all the times.
One of the best. Beef. Incredible.
And then Lawrence Hilton Jacobs plays Garrett Floyd. Lawrence Hilton Jacobs, I know and love him as being Freddie Boom Boom Washington on Welcome Back, Kotter.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Sure.
And then I'm not really going to talk about Woody because he hasn't been in a whole lot, but the main villain, Paul Coslow, Roy Boy Jagger,
Roy boy.
Robot Jocks.
Robot Jocks,
Jocks. And Heaven's Gate.
Robot Jocks. Oh, Heaven's Gate.
We just lost him a couple years ago, by the way. He just passed in
it's such a
2019.
bummer.
So.
He was a Canadian actor. So
Oh.
fun fact. And, not that that's fun. It's just a fact, I guess.
My girlfriend's Canadian. That's fun. I'll take
Oh,
it.
there you go.
We're all having fun with Canada.
Yay.
But yeah, I mean, those guys alone is what makes it entertaining for me. This film is very much low budge, but it's an exploitation film, and that's why it's in my wheelhouse. That's why I love it. It's a vigilante exploitation film, kind of like what would happen if a made-for-TV movie got an unrated version, is what it would be, I think, back in the day, because it has elements of like a made-for-TV kind of scale to it.
Or if they turned the A-Team into a movie and renamed it,
Basically,
Big
yeah.
18 vibes. Like it's
Yeah.
18
Pretty
meets
much.
Street Trash Productions value.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
18
I
meets
think,
Seven Samurai meets Streets of Rage on Sega Genesis.
Ooh,
Yeah, it really
yeah.
felt like a video game to me. It really feels like a side scroller for much
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought the Predator stole a lot from this film, actually. So
Oh,
Just saying.
Okay.
I
Okay.
don't know.
Good call. Good call. Okay.
that's a hot take. I can appreciate that. I will say no one can shoot in this movie. You've got these guys who allegedly are badass soldiers and no one can shoot, which is really funny.
But they can all sweat their asses off, though, because it must have been right in the middle of the summer when they were filming in Hotlanta.
ATL?
Because one scene, like I think at the end, like all the actors, like you could tell someone just dried their faces off and put makeup on, but then you can see they were just covered in sweat from like the neck down, like everybody. And I was just like, oh God, I smell so bad on that set.
That was the testosterone pouring out of their pores, Corey.
Just sweating around, driving around, filming a movie through blight
and cocaine.
Yeah.
You have blight, yeah. And a lot of make sure you get these, the Atlanta Braves hat from the 80s and so Atlanta pieces here and there. Oh, we're in Atlanta still. Just remind you that we're in Atlanta.
Yeah.
DeKalb County coroner. They really included a lot of the locals in there. In fact, I saw that one cop who, when the detective first comes into the restaurant to like give shit to those guys, one of the local do-gooder bozo cops with probably from the sheriff's level there. He was definitely in some other movies, and I couldn't pinpoint him, but I'm like, oh my God, it's that guy. I know that fucking guy for sure.
Watch, we'll probably end up interviewing him on podcasting.
Hey, I listened to the one you did with Dee. I loved that. That was great.
She was great. She's so sweet.
Yeah. She was. And she was cool. And like, I had a little crush on her as a kid too. But either way, she's just a good human being regardless. And she was very open about that. That's something you can find on Podcasting After Dark.
I had a crush on Catherine Mary Stewart, so I'm really looking forward to it.
She's great.
I haven't listened to it
No
yet.
Vicky.
I will tell you, this is what I want to do all night too.
Is that Morse code?
I guess so. For SO, get me out of this shit. No,
I'm a little unclear about the code. Is it like tap if you need help or tap if you're willing to put a meat cleaver in someone's back?
If you're willing to kill for the streets of rage.
Will you kill with a pencil or not? Tap 3 times.
That was wild.
I think what I love about this movie personally is it starts out in one direction. You think, okay, it's going to be kind of a weak, not very intense film. Like the action it's not very gory or violent. Then flash forward a couple of years later when one of the main characters is out of Vietnam, and it is hardcore, brutal exploitation 70s style. And I love it.
Yeah.
It include, a woman is practically, gets knifed and almost raped. And then another guy gets his head caved in with a meat tenderizer. So like
very quietly, by the way. He gets his fingers snipped off and doesn't make a sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't make a
bit
sound.
Perturbed. That's it.
Just
Well, he took that finger getting cut off like a champ, though.
But Joey's badass.
Yeah, Joey was a little bit of a badass. I'm not gonna lie. But then, getting his head caved in, them not showing the hits, I thought was actually really effective because your brain just, fills in the blanks, from what the meat wallet was just doing to his head. So, yeah.
Would you call it a meat wallet?
I called it a meat wallet. I don't know what that means.
He did call it a meat wallet. Yeah.
I think a meat wallet is a whole different thing for us.
You're in dangerous territory over there.
Thanks for not letting me just
especially
go right
when you're talking about that scene.
Yeah. They don't call me Sleazy C for nothing. So
hey, that actually did surprise me when that scene took place. Up to that point in the film, I was like, okay, this is pretty ho hum. It's low budge. Who cares? And they really did. I did not expect the clothes to be ripped off, and then the very up close breast shot, and then the stabbing, which really took me. I was like, wow, this is definitely not a movie for our time anymore. I was like, holy shitballs.
It's not. And I will say this too, when the woman gets her blouse ripped open, I'm like, oh, that's the body double's body because it doesn't match the face. But then you realize it is the actual woman. And I'm like, oh, I did not see that.
That was literally my exact same train of thought when I was watching it, and I had the exact same. Oh, okay, all right, okay then. Okay.
I gotta say, my train of thought during that scene was, guys, go back to the art room. Get out of here right now.
I also love how they're a gang of 40-year-old men. I just and now that I'm in my 40s, I'm like,
that's
I couldn't
the gang.
be doing that.
Middle-aged gangbangers.
The villain's hair was so big.
There's no vertical integration in this game. It sucks. Yeah, you're just kind of stuck in the same dead-end job with these. The clothing is legendary. Everything that Roy Boy wears, I couldn't focus on anything Yeah, I couldn't focus on anything he said because I was always focused on whatever he was wearing, with
Yeah.
like a
His
lapel
hair.
hanging open while he's blowing coke, and it's really. He's a fascinating character. He's a pretty good bad guy too. He kind of freaked me out a little bit. But the hair is, everyone hair is so feathered. It's so
so
80s.
feathered.
Every bad guy, good guy. The Sarge has the same hair as Roy Boy in a way. It's very weird in that sense.
So, can we forgive the stock footage of Nam for like 3 straight minutes in the beginning?
I think so.
Before
I
we
think
cut
so.
to that random park in Atlanta as
Yeah.
doubling for Vietnam?
And I don't think those Asian American actors were actually speaking Vietnamese or anything. So I was like, oh, yeah.
I made a note of that too. I'm like, I'd love to know if that's actually Vietnamese. I love also that the 3 Asian American actors, like, they all seem to be rolling their eyes when they get killed.
Yeah. It's like, well, this
here
is
we
the
go
paycheck,
again.
I guess.
Damn it. Died
How
in
much
Nam.
is he, hey, Tim.
Yeah, I love the fact too that this movie is if Trauma had made it, we wouldn't be covering it. But because it's, it was, I don't want to call it mainstream, but it's got a fairly mainstream cast. I mean, the cast in it is very decent.
Yeah.
The guy who plays Woody, it's a shame that, you know what? He was in one other movie. He was in Rambo Part 2.
Yeah, part 2.
And he was a POW in that, and actually a damn good POW in that.
He was good in this. He was probably the best actor, I think, in this one. Him dealing with his alcoholism. I was like, that was kind of cool that they actually tackled that a little bit, and kind of actually they didn't shit on it. I thought they did him doing the alcoholism stuff, like they did it pretty well. They didn't make it preachy or anything, and they also didn't make him like at the end for the girl, like, I'm gonna pour it out for her. You don't get the sense that like he did a big change, or maybe he did. It doesn't matter. I like the fact that they didn't give it like a bunch of pomp and circumstance that his character changed.
I did notice. Sorry.
No, that was it. I didn't know how to finish it.
I cut you off just in time.
Just
Meat
perfect.
wallet.
Yeah.
That's how
I
you
did
finish
notice
it.
some meat wallet. I did notice that he was he's seemingly the only one, and this seemed more like the director's fault than anything, but there's always like there would be like a delivery of a line of dialogue and then just like this empty space
Yes.
for a while. Then someone else would talk. And then there'd just be like this empty space for a while.
Where are we going, guys?
And, right. Woody seemed like the only one that was like on it. Like, okay, I'm going to talk.
Yeah.
You talk
And he
about
seemed
that.
like one that he can actually cry. Like he can emote and everything.
Right.
Well,
Everything
getting
was
back-
one take on this film, by the way. Was it one take for
Yeah, it
everything?
feels like
There's
it
no
was.
way
Sure
there
it
was more than
was.
one take.
Well, there was some money there because this is New World Pictures, so you got to talk about Roger Corman. And the thing about I kind of dig about the film and his involvement is he's basically doing his thing that he was doing in the 60s with like monsters and aliens and schlock, but he's updating it for the 80s, man. Like people were craving vigilantism after Death Wish and Kill Squad and shit, and they were craving like post Vietnam stories about soldiers coming home. So what do you do after fucking First Blood and Apocalypse Now and Coming Home? You crank up the cheese. So he was definitely giving people what they want, and there was a product there. So in that respect, this delivers.
Yeah. Zach, when did Exterminator come out? Was that 85?
No, that was earlier. That was like
Okay.
83 or 82.
Okay, yeah.
But then Exterminator Part 2 came out around this time. So, like Eric's saying, New World has got, they've got their kind of stock of like exploitation movies. Then there's Canon that's got their exploitation movies. And then there's, independent filmmakers like Bill Lustig, who's making Vigilante, which is, in my opinion, the top of the kind of Death Wish ripoff movies, if you want to call it that. It's damn good, but as well, look for that to come up on Podcasting After Dark eventually. But I will say, yeah, I want to call Woody the poor man's Casey Jones, by the way, based on that poster out. I'm like, if Casey Jones never wore a helmet and was in his like late 40s, he might look a little like that. So there you go.
Yeah,
Casey Jones meets Lou Reed.
But like with Casey Jones, Casey Jones always looked cooler with the mask, and I wish the mask was in this. Why? I mean, so what is this poster? Like, how did they even come up with it?
Well,
and
that's 80s posters, right? I mean, it's like what's actually in the VHS case.
Yeah.
And the front, there's not often a huge connection between these things. Which
No,
No.
Charles Band once told a story at a Fangoria convention about how he would go into the offices of Blockbuster Video with a poster that he made, and they'd give him $100,000 to like just get started.
Yeah.
And
Make it.
he's like, I bring in this great poster, and then the movie would not look anything near what the poster was supposed to be like.
and sometimes maybe put the scene in, maybe sometimes not. Right?
Yeah,
Depending on the
exactly.
poster.
I
But
think
at
this
least
is
the
that
80s
case.
posters
Yeah.
weren't, the Photoshop floating heads, that we get in
True.
the late 90s and everything. And
Oh, God.
I mean, in as much as it upset me that the mask wasn't in the movie, it's still an amazing poster. Absolutely. Yeah, it's right behind you. It's absolutely amazing.
That's
It's
fucking
beautiful.
So
Beautiful
Corey,
poster.
you have on the inside of that Blu-ray, there's an alternate. I think
Yep,
it's the
I'm getting it now.
possibly the alternate poster. It looks like it might have been the authentic one originally. That one looks more accurate to what the movie is like.
And I've seen that poster more actually.
I think it's
Yeah.
I think on the DVD or the Blu-ray, it's the title screen,
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because I've seen this movie poster more. I've never seen that one, the original one. So that one's kind of new to me.
Well,
But
I've never
I
heard
would
of
have
this
this one in
movie.
my office. This is awesome.
I have
Who's
no
that?
recollection of this. I'd never heard of it. I just started once you guys announced it for us. I Googled it a little bit, and that's when I saw that. But as you say, like I was like, okay, this movie exists. That's all I need to know, and waited until I watched it. Went in completely blind, and
Were the critics
Wow.
kind, Michael?
Yeah, usually we we go through the critical breakdowns of the films, but it's hard to find those here. I'd have to really dig deep. Rotten Tomatoes does not have anything other than a dumped over popcorn,
Oh, shit.
which we've already covered, and because they don't get it anyways. These people don't get it, but there's not a single critical review of the Annihilators, and if there is, it's probably from a newspaper way back in the day, and it's probably a very obscure newspaper, I would assume.
Well, you guys got to make your way out to Los Angeles at some point, because out here in Hollywood, there's a Quentin Tarantino owns a theater called the New Beverly Cinema, and Tuesday nights typically they have Grindhouse night, and the Annihilators was shown at one point with Vigilante back to back. And it actually was a triple feature, because I think they ended up throwing in Exterminator Part 2 in that way back when. And so I missed that screening, but I remember it selling out because it was so phenomenal. And, this is a niche audience. Like I know, this is going to attract people that are familiar with this genre. And if they're not, they're going to be like, what the hell am I watching? A movie was released this past year, but it was made in '84 called New York Ninja, and look for that to maybe come up fairly soon on Podcasting After Dark too. You're getting all these spoils.
I know. You're spoiling me.
Yeah, sorry.
behind the
Sort
veil
of.
here. I'm peeking behind
Just
the meat
don't-
wallet.
The meat wallet is open. The meat wallet's
Jesus.
open, and the cash is going in. So these movies, I think you have to look at them with a certain lens, like not taking them too seriously. Clearly when they made this movie, they had the best intentions. I think you can
Yeah.
tell the lead actor Bill. He so wants this to be like a vehicle for him to carry on and be the next Tom Atkins.
And Garrett Graham clearly does not give a shit whatsoever.
Garrett Graham's
Hold
like,
it in.
where's my
Garrett
cocaine
Graham's
and
like,
my
I'm
money?
here for fun, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't give a shit.
And then the director's like, you're here for fun? Well, then we're going to kill your character by some like little kid walking out with short shorts on.
So I
By the way,
started
there
watching.
was shame
I'm
on that woman. Shame on that mom, by the way, that let her kid wander out during a gun battle. Where's my mom?
So I started watching this movie, and at first I'm like, what am I? What are they making us watch? here?
What are these
they-
assholes making us watch?
Pretty much. I texted Eric and Mike, Jesus fucking Christ. And they're like, what?
Yeah,
I'm like,
Should we make them change it again?
but I'm, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, oh man, I can. And then I'm like, I'm kind of starting to get into it. By the time it gets to
Is that how you
where,
get into something?
yeah, that's me slowly getting into something.
Beavis and Butthead style.
It's
Yeah.
like sort of revving up a little bit.
Yeah, just kind of like sitting there like, and by the time we got like an hour in, it took me a while. But when Woody goes and takes like a flying kick leap at the two people that are attacking the old homeless lady, like into some boxes, and then turns around and has like kind of a genuine moment where there's like a homeless vet guy like helping a homeless lady. I'm like, God damn it, they fucking got me. They finally, I'm reeled in. I'm officially on board.
He doesn't even kick him though. He just throws his body into those two dudes.
He like
You know what?
them. Yeah.
It reminds me of the Flyboy in Dawn of the Dead. Flyboy in Dawn of the Dead when he like throws himself at the zombies or something, or at the bikers, I think it is, or something like that.
Yeah, it looks like there's someone off screen throwing him at them. Basically.
Yeah, dude, I don't know much about basic training, but over at Paris Island, are they doing like pro wrestling diving jump kicks? Like, how are they training these motherfuckers?
Well,
Sacrifice the body first.
Shout out to the Millennium Falcon toy that was in her cart, though. My God, if I could go back in time and take that, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Threw that out.
And it looked new too. It didn't even like look dirty or anything. And I was like, "You bastards! You bought that new and just opened it and put it in there, didn't you?"
Oh, those things were fucking everywhere back then, 1985, right? Yeah, taking it for granted.
Yep.
Well, you nailed it. You nailed it, like Zach. Like, it takes a few minutes to know what you're getting into. Travis, you touched on it as well. Like, it reminded me of our Blood Diner episode. Like, you know immediately what you're dealing with, and you were either going to be like, "This is fucking stupid, I'm turning this off," or you're going to settle in and just, have fun. And that's what they were doing in the 80s, man. They were fucking just trying to have fun and entertain. I remember one of the first scenes, like the townspeople. This is how they literally describe the quote-unquote chaos that's been going on because of this dangerous gang. They've been turning over sofas and chairs. Like,
yeah, I noticed that. And that like
holy shit!
Like those old, like the business owners, like some of them were so bad,
And like Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, and they stammered on their line deliveries, which kind of gives credit or credence to the fact that like it's probably was one take and everything. I was like, try to say your lines with a little bit more confidence and not like put a question mark behind everything, But that is also what makes it so interesting, like the fact that like nowadays, like every movie, every single TV show has a gazillion actors and people behind the scenes, and the credits roll for like 45 minutes on all these things. There's just there's no room for error in anything that we watch nowadays. It's so refreshing to go back and watch these older movies where, yes, it's because it's a lower budget, but Zach and I talk about it too. It's like you can also sense that behind the scenes, they're having a good time just making a movie. And it's like, it's probably only about 50 people working on it versus like 500 people that work on anything. Like I was joking to Zach. What were we gonna say?
No, please continue. I'm sorry.
I was joking to Zach. We were watching. Was it Vice Squad? What was the one that Neon Slime was in?
Vice Squad, yeah.
Vice Squad, yeah. And like the
Great
end
movie.
credits, so Wings Hauser sings Neon Slime on Vice Squad. It's a great song. But the end credits like only last long enough for that song. And I was like, it's like 2 minutes. It's like, it's amazing. Whereas, you watch a TV show, a Marvel TV show, and the credits go for 45 minutes. So I just, for some
Longer
reason,
than the episode
itself, and I like the fact that not everything is perfect. And because of that, we can revel in these micro moments of wonderfulness, like Woody having that tender moment with the homeless lady and everything like that. You're like, the rest of the movie is like so bad in a good way that you're like, oh, this is too good to be in this movie. But that's what makes it so awesome,
Perfect, exactly.
How much of this film was shot at night? I mean, all
Very
this
little.
like crimes going on during the there you go.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
right, Zach. Yeah.
Well, the sun is free, so
The sun's free, not for long. No.
Yeah, it's true.
wait
No,
till
you're right.
Elon Musk gets his hands on it.
So
Hey!
there's a big reveal at the end, like a big kind of who is this helper, right? What's it called? Holdout Harry.
Happy Harry Hard on.
Oh,
Or something?
yeah.
Popeye, aka Popeye.
Holdout Harry.
Holdout
So-
Harry.
Like I said in the opening, I hadn't seen this movie since I was a kid, and so I forgot about a ton of it. And I'm watching it, and I see the little feet shuffling and getting in the drug van and driving off, and they're like, "Oh, that's Holdout Harry," and I'm thinking, they're not following up with this, right? They're dropping this plot. They're clearly dropping this plot. And then at the end, they're like, "You remember what I told you?" Oh yeah, I forgot.
And it happens to be Popeye too from Vietnam. That was such an awesome
hilarious.
way to like bring it back and everything.
Kaiser
And-
Soze moment.
yeah, exactly.
What kind of name is Popeye for an intelligence officer?
Dude,
Hey,
He must have big forearms.
And shout out to the villain's death, man. He gets kicked off the roof and lands on top of a flaming car. I was like, yeah,
Boy,
that's
boy.
awesome.
What I loved even more than that is like before he kills him, he's like, "You're gonna go to jail for what for what you've done." And the guy's like, "No, I'm not." He's like, "Well, then fuck it, I'm gonna kick you off this motherfucker."
I know.
It's like,
You
why
know-
are you standing right next to the ledge anyway, guy?
I've seen
What we
like
say means legend.
I've seen some great plan scenes in movies, like where they plan out what they're gonna do to
Yes.
take on like the big Act 3 maneuver. I have yet to see until tonight when I watched it 3 Matchbox cars on a table. That's it.
Cold.
And
That's all they did.
They keep saying it's like Hogan's Alley. It's Hogan's Alley. It's Hogan's,
Hogan's
Alley.
Alley. You
It's
played
Hogan's
that
Alley.
game
It's
on
like-
Nintendo.
I'm like, what the fuck is Hogan's Alley? It sounds familiar, but I don't know it. And clearly, the filmmakers are relying on us
On your
knowing
knowledge.
what Hogan's Alley is.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
it's
like-
Hogan's Alley, and they are Hogan's heroes. So
Yeah,
they-
yeah, right.
Yay.
But what
No
even
Colonel
is
Clank,
this
but-
plan? Like the main part of the plan was pick up a car with a forklift? What? Why? The guy just jumped out and went and killed people.
And
You
they
know
did
what?
that in Vietnam.
Yeah.
I've got a thought on that. They do have a plan, but it's not as it's more of a it's almost a strategy. To me, the main theme of the movie is self-empowerment through learning self-defense. Right?
Mhm.
They
Yeah,
go
yeah.
through and they teach the whole neighborhood, Chamber of Commerce, everybody. Here's how you can defend yourself. And like you see when they're like defending the town or whatever, that actually everybody, for the most part, is actually protecting themselves, which is pretty cool. Actually,
Yeah.
I thought that was
That's one of the things I really liked about the movie and that I didn't see coming.
Same.
I thought they were just gonna, kick ass and take names. I didn't know that they were gonna train the whole town, a la Seven Samurai type of
Mhm.
thing, and that was really, really cool. And then it all comes back. All the moves that they teach
Montage
come
is
back.
great.
Yeah, the
broom,
montage
the
is
broom
great.
sweep
The
the leg
broom
thing.
swipe comes back, but the best was the
pencil.
pencil. The pencil. The kids did the pencil, and I was like,
Yeah.
"That's
The
fucking
kids.
brutal and awesome."
Yes, the kid's glad that he killed somebody.
Yeah,
Turn it down into killers.
I'm
We're
not going to
killers.
feel for it. There were some moments in it too. There were like subtle moments where I'm like, wow, that was really. I love that moment. There was a moment where Woody is getting in Garrett's face, and the smoke comes out of his nose. Did you guys see that? Like he was so
Mm-mm.
pissed off. Like he
No.
must have just puffed a cigarette. It was when they were in the warehouse.
That's
And he
funny.
grabs him, and he must have just puffed a cigarette, but they didn't show him. So all you see is smoke coming out of his nose like a dragon. And I'm like, oh, that's amazing. Or the
Huh.
scene when
Probably
Hawkins,
a mistake.
right? When Garrett kills one of the bad guys by throwing a throwing star at his head, and then he winks at the store
That's
owner
awful,
after
yeah.
that.
he's like homicide. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
No one needs brain.
Yeah.
That's
So-
all the throwing starts.
For everyone that's wondering why the hell we're doing all these gunshots, the opening credits are hilarious because
Yes.
after every single name that they list, there's a gunshot.
Associate
way.
producer gets a
Yes.
gunshot.
It
And you
wasn't
know
just
what?
like the
Editor.
title of the movie. They took it to the very end.
And
Yeah.
and the very opening sound, it's like this kind of sound. I'm like, oh, it sounds like the opening to Pad. very, very for half a second.
It has vibes.
Wow.
But shout out to the car chase scene in this. I thought for a low budget
hell yeah.
film, it was handled really well with some really cool cars too. It looked like there was like a couple GTOs in there. there, a couple Novas in there, and I was like, damn. And it did not look like they were doing the Mad Max sped up footage. It looked like they were actually driving fast, and it also looked like they didn't shut down streets and they were just driving fast through streets. And I was like, this has like, it has like a visceral feel to it, a grittiness that you just, again, I just come back to the fact you just do not get anymore at all.
Yeah. How about that beautiful cemetery with the skyline in the back too? Where'd they find that? Hey, good job, line producer. Coming up with a sweet cemetery shot there. That'd be the best shot in the whole movie.
One thing I love about all these movies, and I'm as we're talking about this, I'm thinking of other kind of like Southern-based exploitation films, like Return to Macon County or Walking Tall. Those are a couple good ones to rattle off. But
what about Southern Comfort?
Southern Comfort, yeah, Southern Comfort would work. That's in the Bayou, but I dig that. I love that movie, by the way, Walter Hill. And but Return to Macon County is a very I think there's Macon County, and then there's Return to Macon County with Nick Nolte and Don Johnson. And like kind of once you go down to the South, they play by their own rules, kind of thing, you know?
That's right.
And I think in Atlanta, that's like the deal where I love how the cops throughout this whole thing never show up when all the carnage for like a good part of 15 minutes goes by and there's not one cop car in sight. Then they roll up after everything's done. You're like, okay, cool.
Well,
is that the end of the movie?
They explain it okay, though. Right?
Was that the climax? Is that the climax of the film? Okay, we'll show up now. Cool.
Because I made the same note, and then we learned that it's Popeye that has been kind of holding them back. I'm like,
which is great.
Okay.
Which I actually I think it's smart writing. You know, as cheesy as this film is, and it has its moments that obviously don't click. Yeah. But for the most part, it's smart writing. Like the fact that they have an undercover guy on the inside, and it ends up being the guy who's the biggest pain in their ass. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Honestly, I agree. Yeah. I think that the writing is actually kind of strong, and I know that this is a cult film, and the people that love this movie and would maybe find this blasphemy, but I could see a remake happening and have it be pretty good. I think that the core here is pretty solid, and you could do something with this.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, sorry, Zach, but it is almost kind of like a loose remake of Seven Samurai, or more to the point, Magnificent Seven, because in the scene with the big shootout and you've got Garrett up on the roof or whatever, this is straight out of a Western where you got a guy on the top of the saloon just shooting down at people. That whole retaliation chunk is straight up good in my opinion.
Yeah, and the fact that the people were helping them and were a part of them, and and he was like, the three knock thing. It's not just to let us know, but it's also like to unify us.
Solidarity.
Too. Solidarity. Yeah,
Frontier
and I was like,
justice.
This is smart. This is cool. And the writing. It's like the budget just couldn't sort of match it. And I think the biggest problem with the movie, and there are a lot of problems, but if you listen to Podcasts After Dark, you know that problems don't mean bad. Like, it doesn't mean it's a bad movie. But I think the thing that really kind of holds it back the most is that first 5 or 10 minutes when it's just somebody's backyard. And you're just like, you're like, okay, if you didn't have this scene in there, did you really need this? Because I do think that really holds it back, because after that, I think the quality does go up. I mean, it's not ever going to go up to like an 100, but it goes up, and it gets better after that. I think they could have actually just lost that beginning, but I know what you mean.
Flashbacks, man. Make it flashbacks when you're introducing each character. Give me one memory from Nam or something like that.
Or give us one scene from the whole, scene, but from each point of view. And then if it's a flashback, you can maybe throw a filter on there and give it, just try to hide the fact that, it's a clearly just a rented park or something.
Hide that merry-go-round I clearly saw.
It's clearly a metro park.
Hear the kid on the swing or something. He's like, no.
Kids are running by. A frisbee goes flying by,
I think you hit the nail on the head too with the Seven Samurai, the Magnificent Seven. Wasn't Three Amigos? Didn't they do that in Three Amigos where they get the townspeople to back them up too?
Yeah.
Right. But I think, Eric, you're right. Like, when you talk about remakes, what constitutes a remake, this does, in my opinion, when there was talk that they were going to remake The Warriors or whatever, I'm like, you just don't do that, because it's not a movie. You can't do that with The Warriors. It's a time capsule film. this is not a time capsule film. This this is happening right now, and you could do it with militia people or whatever, coming into the town or something like that. It's very timely, I think, in a weird way. Yeah, you could easily do that, and I'd be down with it. And it's a forgotten enough film that people wouldn't really raise that bunch of a stink at it.
Yeah, and another thing that I did, kind of going with what you're saying, Zach, what makes it kind of stand out and be a little bit different is, their whole goal was not just revenge. They kept kind of reiterating that, we're not here to just avenge our friend's death. We're here to actually finish his mission, which was to clean up this little part of town and actually help the people. And I like how they kind of kept reiterating that and everything. And they have a couple moments where maybe they could, initiate the revenge thing, but no, it's not about that. And I liked that. And I think that's still a message, if probably even more applicable, these days. And maybe this could take place in downtown LA that's, ravaged now in a post-COVID environment and everything. And people reclaiming their blocks and stuff like that. There's a message there, but I like that. I like revenge movies. I love revenge movies, but I like that this wasn't actually about revenge. I would say improving the community was their first objective. The second one was revenge.
Well put.
And meat wallets,
Naturally.
Yeah.
That's what we're all about.
Well, I mean, I think we've covered a fair deal of this movie, like we always do. Anybody want to get on the record before we get to our final verdicts on this film? Travis, yes.
I have something very important to mention, which during the training montage and all that, you see everybody there. There is one guy wearing a shirt that just says music. I need that shirt. I need it. I like music.
Can someone find this shirt? It's only 38 years old. Come on.
I'm a huge t-shirt guy, and I'm a huge t-shirt guy in movies, right? So like Stephen King Rules or the t-shirts from Real Genius that Chris Knight wears throughout are so great. Or American Flyers, the one where he's wearing the slogan in Latin. And I was watching Don the Dragon Wilson movie, Blood Fist, and there's like Jake and Ray's boxing gym or something like that. I'm like, oh, that would make a great t-shirt. Whenever I see t-shirts like that, you just got to make it. Make it. Yeah. You guys could sell it as merch on your, now that you've covered Annihilators, like Corey does. Corey makes these great Podcasting After Dark inspired t-shirts that we sell on TeePublic. You could do that on your show with your logo, but do it with like the Annihilators.
Yeah.
You guys could be the Annihilators or something.
Yeah.
That is a great idea. And I
have to ask you about that too off air. That sounds very promising. So far we have Cinema 9 shirts, and there's only 3 of them.
Well, we can make more if people want them.
Apparently, you got to make 10 designs on TeePublic to get like people to just type your name in and they'll find them. But whatever.
Oh, okay.
Oh, is it 10? Because I feel like we have like just like 8 or 9 or something.
We're so close, dude.
Yeah, we're so close. So close.
It's close. Very close. Okay. Yeah. Everybody good?
I just want to throw out the only other note that I had was Joe's dad was the best actor in the entire movie.
God damn, he was
and everything.
Yeah,
Joe's dad. I teared up.
I know.
And I want to track. Did you notice that milk was more expensive than cigarettes? In that?
I did notice that. I'm like, what the gallon? Why does it cost the same as it does now?
There's a milk shortage back in '85.
I noticed when one of the gang members ripped open that classic Cheetos bag from the '80s, the blue Cheetos.
Yeah.
Cheetos has changed completely since 1985.
Side note: Do you guys remember Planters peanuts? They used to have the cheese balls in a can.
Oh yeah, the can.
Yes.
Oh yeah. My grandpa used to have those with 7-Ups in a glass bottle in his bar all the time.
Amazing.
Okay, Michigan guys, do you remember Verner's?
Oh, it's still proud. We're very proud of Verner's to this
country,
day,
bro.
Hell yeah,
That's
Fago and Verner's.
Fago rock and ride, baby.
Yeah, if you get sick in Michigan, you're having warm Verner's.
Verner's
it doesn't work at all.
Flu.
It's just pure sugar. It's not going to make you feel any better.
But
But
let it
somehow
get flat first. Get it room temperature and flat, and then it's going to heal you.
Forget.
No, I need that effervescence. Are you kidding me? Got to have that effervescence. So.
Barrel-aged
All right, well,
case, baby.
We did it differently at our house, I guess.
That's brisk, baby. So it's time for us to make our determinations on this film. Does it hold up or not? Boy, who wants to go first? Does anyone want to go first? Is anyone chomping at the bit here?
I'll go first.
Oh, brave soul you are.
Does it hold up? It's such a hard thing to say because does it like based on what, right?
This is a unique version of this, Zach, for sure. And that's why actually probably one of us should have gone first to set the tone here to give you guys because that. How about I'll go first? I'll go.
Please,
first.
please do. Yeah.
So this film has everything that you guys described. It's funny at times, but it does flit into a very specific type of film. So to not understand that means that you're really not paying attention. Maybe you don't know film history. Maybe you don't understand how genres work, and that's okay if you don't. If you're just
Hot takes.
if you're just chill, if
You're throwing all the audience under the bus right there.
And also,
Yeah.
fuck you.
I know everything and you know nothing. This film's available on Tubi. That's how I watched it. So if you have Tubi, it's all
God bless
free.
Tubi.
YouTube.
Yeah, that's great. These guys have been talking about Tubi for 2 years, and I finally used it for the first time.
Cool.
So there it is. Look at me. I'm all grown up in the world. Look at me. And it's dumb, yes, but it actually has some points about it that you do go, oh, that's pretty cool. The community coming together and fighting for a common cause. And there's not a lot of... there's not a lot of labeling going on here in terms of cliches, actually. You'd be surprised. I would expect a lot more cliches and tropes in this movie for it being in 1985 than there actually was. So I was actually surprised by that in a sense. And if you know what it is, if you just want to laugh at some of the stuff because it's just plain stupid and it's poorly done, that's okay. And that doesn't mean a movie doesn't hold up here. To us, it's always this never-ending discussion about what it means to each one of us individually for a film to hold up. Is it about the parlance of our times, to use the Lebowski quote? Is it about what's going on in society and does it fit into the narrative of today?
Society.
Is it about, hey, I had a good... Yeah, we have to use the word society at least once per show. Is it about having a good time? Or is it maybe feel good? Is it a piece of shit movie that I just like to zone out to, so that's good enough for me? That means it holds up. This is all in the mix, in the hopper for all three of us when we do this part of the show. So I'm going to say that for what this movie is, it holds up. It does what it's supposed to do. It doesn't hide. It doesn't pretend to be anything that it isn't. And that's good enough for me. I had several laughs, and it created a lot of entertainment for us to have several laughs ourselves during the show on. So I say it holds up.
Yay.
Who gives a shit?
Go ahead, Zach.
Grab it, Zach.
Are we frozen?
I think just Zach is frozen.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Oh, there he is. He's
Hey,
back.
buddy.
Hey!
You're back, baby.
You're here.
I don't know if he can hear us, but we see you. You look
I'm
beautiful.
here. I'm here.
Oh,
Something-
good. Okay.
Woo! Hallelujah.
Society, probably. Society.
Yeah, no, I mean, so I'll just jump in really quick and say it holds up. I love it. You're right. It doesn't pretend to be anything that it's not. It's not trying to break any new ground, and it's got enough nice little surprises throughout that and shocks that get you going in the fun zone, to quote Boogie Nights.
That's right.
And I'll throw in
Mr.
after-
Torpedo area.
Go for it,
And
Corey.
As per usual with movies, because Zach did pick this one because when you guys asked me, I asked him, so he kind of picked it. As per usual, I had never seen it, so this is a fresh take on it. And I guess in 2022, I think it's a fun movie. Like everything everybody just said, I think it has something to say. And I think what it's trying to say is actually positive. And I think what it's trying to do, like what the characters are trying to do is a cool thing and a very positive thing. And I think, like everyone said again, it is what it is. If you're going to watch it and think high art, it's not that. It's a cult movie, and it's an exploitation film. It's a low budget movie. It's schlock. It's fun. It's all that stuff, but in a good way. But I think what sets it apart and what kind of is the meat on the bones is it has a heart. I think it's schlock with a heart, and that's what I think is the best thing about it. I think it's the opening act holds it down the most, the Vietnam stuff at the beginning. But if you can get past that first 10 minutes and laugh at it, you'll have a much more, I think you have a smoother ride after that, with a lot more fun to be had.
So it holds up.
For sure.
Yes, I think it holds up as a first time viewing in 2022.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and jump in next.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Eric. No, if you want, go out by all means.
I quickly want to give a little bit more props to this guy Charles E. Sellier because he's coming off Silent Night, Deadly Night, which is like historically like one of the most considered like obscene, like awful films that was just so mean spirited and just eviscerated by critics. So, and he just kind of points a middle finger to the industry, which was bold, man. And he comes out with just sexploitation and horrific violence and just says, you know, I'm going to do my thing and make a killing at it. You know, granted the film wasn't a success, but he gives us something that at the end of the day is fucking fun. And we see a lot of action movies that are like thrilling and you know, powerful and serious, but it's rare to see one that's just plain fun, dude. And the film has, like you said, things to say about empowerment and friendship, and it does it in a good way. I love the artifice of everything. It's like just so like it's so flat, the lighting, like it's just there's nothing there. Like was there even a gaffer? It's like that scene in the coffee shop, which is a nice scene where the waitress wants him to stop drinking, but like there's this fucking cord that plugs in the coffee pot, just taking up the whole shot. You can't move over one booth, so that stupid thing isn't there. Like they didn't care, man. It was just like let's shoot the picture, get it in the can, and just make another one right after that. It was just a era of filmmaking that I do kind of miss, where they were just churning out fun stuff, not as product but as entertainment. So I think it holds up. I was laughing a lot throughout the movie, man. It's kind of a hidden gem from the 80s, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's an energy to that kind of filmmaking that you just don't get anymore. And yeah, I saw that chord too, and I was like, yeah, it's all natural lighting in this movie. There is no DP whatsoever. But again, that's the charm of it. That's what makes it fun, because you just feel like, yeah, these guys let's do it, let's get on, let's make this, and let's have fun and move on to the next scene. You don't give a shit, but then you get a nice little performance out of it. Like Woody's, you know, the actor puts in a nice little performance. You're like, okay, cool, I get this, I like this.
Let's do it live.
Fuck it. It does have like this guerrilla filmmaking kind of feel about it. I would be kind of shocked if they had all the proper licensing, honestly.
I think during that car chase scene, they had no proper licensing whatsoever.
They're literally driving in a circle. You see the same fucking building over and over.
Drums of toxic waste all over the street.
Right.
Other cars that are like stopping, trying not to get hit. You know?
So I never had heard of it. I probably wouldn't have watched it. Part of me, Corey, thinks that like I maybe would have been more on board from the start if I had been drunk the first viewing. I think that I recommend that. I recommend 3 beers to start
for sure,
and then hitting play. But once I kind of let my guard down with it and kind of went like, okay, this is what we're doing. This is schlock, as you say. Once I let my guard down, I really, really started to enjoy the movie. And I'm not going to sit here. No one, I think, could sit here and be like, hey, this is an objectively good movie, right? But you know, there's a scene we didn't talk about where Woody is legitimately getting shot at and trying to help his friends, and he like has to like hide from a shotgun blast, and he breaks the fifth of whiskey in his front pocket, and his buddies accuse him of like being, or at least one of his buddies, Garrett, accuses him of like being drunk, and it never even gets resolved. It never comes up again. You just know that one of the guys, and maybe a couple of guys in his crew, kind of think, oh, he's not being very reliable, he's a drunk. And it's like, wow, they didn't need to put that scene in the movie, but suddenly I'm just like so much more invested in this character and like his nobility and like all this stuff. I'm like, man, the movie just kept on throwing these surprises at me. You as you watch it, you will underestimate it, and then you will be surprised. I will say that this movie gladly holds up, and I'm really glad that you guys chose it and picked it for us, and that you came on our show and talked about it with us. So
right on.
Thank you.
5 holds up has to be a record. Sure.
Wow.
I don't know if we'll ever top 5. You're right.
Well, next time we have a sign.
So. Yeah, man, we want you back by all means.
Oh yeah, I mean, of course, you have a pass for life here. We really enjoyed this. You guys have
a lot of laughs.
Everything that you hear about when you listen to their show was just on display in real time, live on YouTube here. And it's the same human beings that I thought I was going to get from the show. So that's what I ask for, and that's what I demand. And thank you for doing that, because it just makes it natural. You guys are natural. We're natural. We pride ourselves on just being 3 bozos who've known each other. Well, I call myself a bozo. I don't want to be cruel to my friends. But, okay, good.
You can call me a bozo.
We've known each other for
30 years.
Yeah, all right. Look at this. Bozo Fest.
Yeah.
We have been friends since, like I've known Travis since 1992, okay? And I met Eric in 94, and we've known each other ever since, and we still get to talk movies, and you guys slide right into that. That's not easy to do either. Like, you guys have your own shit, and you're well-known, but it's not necessarily easy to come into this environment and just naturally fit into the movie discussion. So that means we probably all could have been part of the same friend group once upon a time when we were all teenagers.
I think that's a very true statement right there. Is Zach Paul? No, there he is. He's back,
there.
baby.
I was counting the money in my meat wallet. So.
We're not going to hear the end of that anytime soon. Boy.
Oh man, thanks for really locking in on that one, guys. I really appreciate that one.
Yeah, I hope that carries forth back to podcasting after dark.
It's got to now. But I mean, thank you all so much for having us on the show. You guys produce a fantastic show.
Yeah,
I very much enjoy it, and I think you guys are a lot of fun to talk to. And I look forward to doing more crossover stuff, having you guys on our show in the future, and doing more stuff like this. You guys are a lot of fun, but mad respect as fellow content producers and everything. Mad respect. Thank you, Steven. Thank you. Mad respect as content producers, and just you guys are crushing it, and you guys put on such a fun show, and you guys are awesome, and you guys were so much fun to talk to. So thank and congratulations on 100 episodes. Seriously,
thanks, man.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I don't mean to. This is 100% true. I've done a few other podcast appearances before, and this by far takes the cake as being my most fun. So
sweet. Thank you.
This was very. You guys run a tight ship, and I appreciate that. And we don't talk over each other, and it's very homogenous. So yeah, you guys were great. And you're right. We kind of gave you a preview of what we do on the show, but that's just who we are. We're just talking shit and telling stories. So
we're all just talking, guys. That's all we're doing. This is talking John.
Well, I'm working out while we're talking.
This is what we do, and it's who we are.
I'm actually on a treadmill while we're talking. That's why I'm
doing
it's very obvious.
Meat wallet.
Yes.
Oh God. Okay, the show's off the rails. So there it is. Obviously, these guys are from Podcasting After Dark. In case you didn't know, if you've been around this long, and if you're watching at a replay too, make sure you're connected with them on standard podcast platform of your choice. I assume you can find it anywhere there's podcasts available. And of course, there are a plethora of other shows which we've mentioned, and we'll add that to the description as well. Before we go, we have to do what we always do. You guys get to stick around for a Cinema 9 ritual. We got to choose next week's movie of choice, and that means it goes back to the top of the order, which is Travis Roy. You have control of the board. What will we be doing for episode 101?
101. That's awesome. And thank you so much, you guys, Zach and Corey, for your kind words and for being here. And everybody listening, if you've not already checked out Podcasting After Dark, go to their site, go and check out. And you listen to us, then you know that these guys have just a
gold standard.
Just a ton.
Great
of
website
shit
too. Great website. Yeah, podcastingafterdark.com. I forgot to mention that. I checked it out. It's really good. It's because it's organized and so easy to navigate. Good stuff.
Yeah. And they do, again, like they said, 3 hour, 4, like these incredibly deep dives. So please do check them out.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you for entertaining me during the last couple of years.
Our pleasure.
Check is in the meat wallet.
All right. So for next week's episode, I thought I would shift gears drastically. And also, we're 100 episodes in. It's time to kind of do some of the things I've been wanting to do and haven't done. For instance, we've not done any animated films. It's time.
Oh, boy.
Here we go.
Yeah,
Here we go.
It's time. Stop talking. It's time. And also, we haven't done a lot of family films either. And there's much overlap here. So I am ready to take a look at a film that came out right when I was a teenager. So I was just at the right age, like the age where I didn't quite, I was like, oh, I'm too old for this. But also everybody I know loves it. And I watched it when we worked at Blockbuster Video. So I've seen it a couple times. I'm like, this is a great movie, but it's come to be seen as this beloved, treasured classic for a lot of people that for me, I've only seen it a couple times and I kind of was working while it was on. So I thought it would be a good idea to go back to 1999's The Iron Giant.
Yeah. Oh, there it is. Yes, the Brad Bird classic.
Sorry,
Brad Bird classic.
Awesome.
I'm guessing it's going to hold up, but again, I haven't seen it so long, and I felt like we should mix things up here. So
it does. I watched it 2 years ago with my son. He
Vin Diesel.
I bet he did. Yeah, it's
a great pick.
Vin Diesel. Heartwarming.
Yeah. Harry Connick Jr.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yep.
And I want to see Jennifer Aniston.
Yep,
is that
Jennifer
right?
Aniston.
Okay.
Oh, she was the mom. Oh, no, I
I
haven't.
think she's the mom.
I haven't seen
Christopher
that probably
McDonald?
since 1999 too.
Yeah, same.
I
Shooter
can't wait to
McGavin?
listen.
Yeah, Shooter McGavin.
Yeah, Shooter.
Shooter McGavin. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
in a
Christopher
Christopher
McDonald. Yeah.
But fun
right.
fact, I met him in LA at a bar. I just kind of said hi to him, and
No
I
way.
have the same birthday as he does.
Oh.
He's February 15th, just like me.
Oh, that's my sister's birthday and my
Oh.
grandmother's birthday. That's
Well,
so fun.
happy belated birthday to your sister and your grandmother.
I will tell them you said so. I said meat wallet said happy. No, I will take the next step and start calling you that. I'm just kidding.
Please do. Please,
And-
that's
and
fine.
Dubs.
I'm making the shirt as soon as we're done with this. I'm making the meat wallet shirt.
Yeah, who gets copyright on Meat Wallet's shirt? It's on our show, but Corey said it, so
Yeah,
That's,
Okay.
that's your
Profits.
awesome. I'm giving it to you guys. You guys can have it.
that's great. So there it is. I've never seen the Iron Giant. I've already heard jokes in movies
on.
that I've watched about people who are grown-ups crying about the Iron Giant.
Right,
so
the
I
Ted
know it's going to be
Lasso,
very
right.
tender.
That
Yep.
Ted
Yeah,
Lasso
so
scene is what brought.
I'll look forward to checking out a new movie for me. Yay, woohoo.
Yeah.
All right, there
All
it
right.
is. We did it. It's in the can. Thanks to Podcasting After Dark, Corey and Zach. For myself, Michael Govier, Travis Roy, Eric Brancher, Zach Schaefer, and Corey. We're out of here. Catch you next 100 episodes.
Woo!